Take the hottest bedroom in an ordinary American house on a summer evening. The window is open. The screen is in place. The glass is lifted as far as it will go. On the nightstand, the thermometer still says the room is too warm to sleep in. Now hang a thin strip of tissue from the latch. It barely moves. That small piece of tissue is telling you something the thermostat cannot. The room does not have a breeze. It has an opening. Those are not the same thing. Most homeowners have been trained to think of ventilation as a window problem. If the room feels hot, open the window. If it still feels hot, lower the thermostat. If that does not work, blame the air conditioner. But air does not cool a room just because it is allowed to enter. It cools the room when it has a path to cross it. One side in, one side out. Without that second opening, the air can drift in weakly swirl near the glass and stall before it ever reaches the bed, the desk, or the person trying to sleep. So the first question is not is the window open? The first question is where is the air supposed to leave? Here is the simple version. A window is not a ventilation system. It is only a hole in the wall until the air has a reason to move. Think of a garden hose with one end capped. Water can enter the hose, but it cannot travel through it. It presses, swirls, and stops. A room can behave the same way. For cross-ventilation to happen, the house needs two jobs happening at once. One opening lets air enter. Another opening lets air leave. That second opening might be a window across the room. It might be a bedroom door cracked into a hallway. It might be an upstairs window, a stairwell, or a shaded door on the opposite side of the house. The exact opening matters less than the path between them. If the path is blocked by a closed door, a heavy curtain, a bookcase, or a wall of furniture, the air loses its direction. You can have a window wide open and still have a dead room. This is why random window opening is so unreliable. It feels like you are ventilating the house, but sometimes you're only making holes in a box. Now turn that idea into a test. Pick one room that feels hot, even when the window is open. Do not start with the whole house. Start with one room, because one room is small enough to understand. First, close the bedroom door and open the window the way you normally would. Hang a light strip of tissue thread or ribbon near the window latch. Watch it for a few seconds. If it hangs straight down, that window is not pulling much air through the room. It may be letting air touch the screen. It may be letting sound in, but it is not creating a path. Now crack the bedroom door. Do not open it all the way yet. Just give the air a narrow exit into the hallway. Watch the tissue again. If it begins to lean even slightly, the room has changed. Nothing expensive happened. No machine turned on. You simply gave the air somewhere to go. Then open the door wider or open another window across the hall if the house allows it. Wait 10 to 15 minutes. Keep the thermometer and humidity reading in the same place so you are not measuring a different part of the room. The number may not fall dramatically right away. That is fine. The first measurement is not the temperature drop. The first measurement is direction. Is the tissue still dead? Is it moving toward the door? Is it fluttering back and forth because the path is confused? That is the reveal. An open window tells you what the homeowner did. Moving tissue tells you what the air is doing. What you are seeing in that tissue is pressure made visible. When wind touches a house, it does not touch every side the same way. The side facing the wind gets pushed. The opposite side is usually under less pressure. Air moves toward that lower pressure side when you give it a route. That route can be simple. A window on one wall, a cracked door, a hallway, another opening somewhere beyond it. The house becomes a small pressure machine, not because it has equipment, but because one side is being pushed harder than the other. Here is the simple version. Air does not move through a room because the room is hot. It moves because one place is pushing harder and another place is easy to escape through. That is why the same window can behave differently on two different evenings. On one night, the wind may press directly against that side of the house. On another night, that window may sit in a weak or confused pressure zone. The room did not change. The pressure around the room changed. And when air finally crosses the space where people actually sit or sleep, comfort changes before the thermometer tells the whole story. Moving air helps carry heat away from your skin. It also helps sweat evaporate more easily. That is why a room can feel better, even if the number on the thermometer only moves a little. The air is no longer sitting beside you. It is passing over you. This is where many American homes fail. Not because the windows are wrong, not because the homeowner is doing something foolish. The room simply does not give air a clean route across the space. A bedroom with one window and a closed door is the most common example. The window may be open all night, but the room still behaves like a pocket. Air touches the opening, then loses direction before it crosses the bed. Heavy curtains can do the same thing. They may block sunlight during the day, but at night they can hang like a soft wall in front of the only place air can enter. Furniture matters too. A tall bookcase near a doorway. A sofa pushed across the only open path. A dresser sitting below the window, where air needs to drop and spread. None of these look like engineering decisions, but they change how the room breathes. Hallways can also break the path. If the air enters a bedroom, turns sharply into a narrow hall, then runs into a closed door, at the other end, the path is not finished. It is interrupted. That is why one room in a house can feel dead, while another room feels fine. The air is not moving evenly through the building. It is choosing the easiest route, and some rooms are not on that route at all. Most homes do not fail cross ventilation because the physics is weak. They fail because the path is broken. Now you can start tuning the room instead of guessing. First, find the side of the house the wind is touching. You do not need a weather station for this. Step outside for a moment. Look at trees, flags, grass porch curtains, anything light enough to move. That side is your likely intake side. Open one window there, but do not assume wider is always better. Sometimes a smaller opening gives the air a cleaner direction. You are not trying to open the whole wall. You are trying to create a stream. Then give that stream an exit. That exit might be a door into a hallway. It might be a second window on the opposite side of the house. It might be an upstairs opening if warm air is collecting high. What matters is that the air can keep moving after it enters the room. Now go back to the tissue. If it leans steadily toward the room, air is entering. If it leans toward the door, air is crossing the room. If it flutters in both directions, the path may be confused, or two openings may be fighting each other. Adjust one thing at a time. Open the door a little more. Close a window that is stealing the pressure. Move the curtain away from the screen. Pull the chair or dresser out of the path. This is the part most people skip. They open every window and hope the house figures it out. But cross ventilation is not random. It is a route. Once the route is visible, you can tune it. When the wind is weak, height starts to matter. Warm air is lighter than cool air. You do not need to see that on a chart to understand it. You have seen smoke climb above a fire. You have felt the hottest air gather near the ceiling of an upstairs room. A house does the same thing. If warm air is collecting high in the room, a low opening and a high opening can create a different kind of movement. Cooler air enters low. Warmer air escapes high. The room begins to empty from the top instead of only being pushed from the side. That is the stack effect. In a real house, the high exit might be an upstairs window. It might be a window at the top of a stairwell. It might be a transom or another safe upper opening that lets warm air leave without pulling from a garage attic or dirty crawl space. The detail matters. You do not want to pull bad air into the living space. You want to give warm indoor air a clean way out. So when the wind is not helping, much stop thinking only left to right. Think low to high. The room may not need a stronger breeze. It may need a higher exit. But airflow has one trap most people miss. Cooler air is not always better air. In a dry climate opening, the house in the evening can make sense. The outdoor air cools down. The walls and furniture begin to give up the heat they stored during the day. A good airflow path can help carry that heat out. But in a humid climate, the same move can backfire. The air outside may feel cooler on your skin, but it may also be carrying a lot of moisture. When that moisture enters the house, it does not just pass through like wind through a screen. It can settle into bedding, carpet, drywall, and furniture. That is why a room can feel strange after a night of open windows. The thermometer looks better. The sheets feel heavier. Comfort is not only temperature. It is temperature, moisture, and movement working together. So, use a cheap humidity meter with the same seriousness as a thermometer. If the outdoor air is cooler and drier, cross ventilation can help. If the outdoor air is cooler but wetter, shorten the test change the time of day, or use dehumidification instead. The goal is not to let outside air in at all costs. The goal is to bring in air that actually improves the room. There is one machine that belongs in this conversation, but only if you understand what it is doing. A whole house fan is not a replacement for the airflow path. It is an amplifier of that path. Usually, it sits in the ceiling of a central hallway. When it runs, it pulls indoor air upward and exhausts it through the attic, venting above. But the air it removes has to be replaced by air coming from somewhere else. That means the windows still matter. If the wrong windows are open, the fan may pull air through the easiest rooms and leave the hot bedroom almost untouched. If a bedroom door is closed, that room may stay dead, while the hallway feels active. The fan does not fix a bad path. It makes the path more obvious. Used correctly, it can help flush a house when the outdoor air is cooler and drier than the indoor air. Used carelessly, it can pull in humid air dust, garage fumes, or air from places you do not want connected to the living space. So treat it as a tool, not a magic switch. Open the right intake. Give the air a clean route. Make sure it has a safe exhaust. Then, the fan is not fighting the house. It is helping the house breathe. This is the part modern homes quietly train us to forget. The thermostat is easy to understand. It gives you one number on the wall. If the room feels wrong, you change the number. That is simple. But airflow is not one number. It is a route through the building. It depends on doors, windows, hallways, pressure height furniture, and the weather outside. Modern comfort has been built around machines that can be sold, installed, serviced, and replaced. That does not make those machines bad. In many climates, they are necessary. But it does mean homeowners are often taught to think about temperature before they think about movement. The air conditioner cools the air. It does not automatically decide where that air should travel. So, a room can have a working AC system, a clean filter, and an open window, and still feel wrong because the air inside the room is not crossing the space where people actually live. No one had to hide that. It only had to fall out of the normal checklist. Once you see the path, the house starts to look different. A door is not just a door. A hallway is not just a hallway. A window is not just a window. Together they decide whether the air moves or sits still. So here is the protocol. Do not start by changing the whole house. Start with one room that bothers you the most. The hot bedroom, the upstairs office, the room that always feels stale before the rest of the house does. Put a thermometer and a humidity meter in that room. Leave them in one place. Do not move them from the nightstand to the window and then to the hallway, because then you are not measuring the room anymore. You are measuring different spots. Now hang the tissue strip near the window. First test, open only the window. Watch the tissue. Record the temperature. Record the humidity. Notice whether the air has direction or whether it simply sits near the screen. Second test, give the room an exit. Crack the bedroom door. Open a hallway path. Open a second window if the layout allows it. Then wait 10 to 15 minutes. Watch the tissue again. If it leans steadily, you have found a path. If it hangs still, the path is still broken. If it shakes in both directions, the openings may be competing instead of cooperating. Then adjust one thing. Move the curtain. Open the door wider. Close the window that is stealing the pull. Shift the chair out of the route. Keep testing until the air tells you what the room is doing. And watch the humidity. If the room gets cooler but wetter, that is not a win. Shorten the test. Change the time of day. Use the AC or dehumidification when moisture is the real problem. The goal is not to prove that open windows always work. The goal is to find out whether your house has been given a path. Tonight, test one room. Not the whole house. Not every window. One room. Write down 4 things. Your state or climate region. The room you tested. The 2 openings you used. Then, the before and after readings for temperature and humidity. And add one more detail what the tissue did. Did it hang still? Did it lean toward the door? Did it flutter like the air could not decide where to go? That small observation matters because it turns comfort into something you can see. If enough homeowners do this, the comments become more than feedback. They become a map of how ordinary houses actually move air. Dry climates, humid climates, upstairs rooms, ranch houses, apartments, old houses with leaky doors, new houses that are tight enough to feel sealed. Every one of them teaches something. Before you buy a bigger machine, before you assume the AC is too small, before you decide the room is just impossible to cool, find the path. The house may already have the openings. What it may not have is direction.